Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel. I hope you are all doing well. We all agree to the fact that our help desk receive a lot of calls on daily basis related to password issues that users sometimes forget after they return from holidays or their account gets logged out after making so many attempts with incorrect passwords. To tackle these issues effectively, we can use the feature called SSPR, which is self-service password reset. So users can themselves reset their password without reaching out to help desk. And that way we can reduce our help desk calls. In this video, I will discuss about the technical requirements to set up SSPR and then I will demonstrate the same. Alright, let's get started. First and very important point for end users is to ensure they are registered for SSPR, otherwise they won't be able to reset their password. While registering for SSPR, users can choose from various authentication methods like mobile app code, email, mobile phone, office phone, or security questions. Administrators can either allow all the authentication methods or go with selective methods. An important thing to note here is you cannot select Authenticator app as the only authentication method when only one method is required, and there has to be at least one more method selected while setting up SSPR. During the demonstration, I will show you how exactly you can choose authentication methods. Additionally, if you are in a hybrid environment where the users are synchronizing from your on-premise directory, in that case, you can use password writeback feature so that passwords can be written back to your on-premise, and that way your on-premise password policies are enforced when a user resets their password using SSPR feature. Password writeback works with these three identity models, that is password hash sync, pass-through authentication, and Active Directory federation services. Moving on, let me now talk about the licensing requirements for SSPR feature. There are different features that SSPR provides. The first one is user can change their password. So this comes in handy when users are aware of their existing password and they simply want to change it to something else. To use this feature, you require either of these licenses. Now the second feature is that user has forgotten their password and they want to reset it by simply answering some of the security questions or completing other authentication methods. To use this feature, you need either of these licenses. In case you are in a hybrid environment where your users are synchronizing from your on-premise directory and users need the ability to either change or reset their password, then you need Azure AD Premium P1 or P2 license. Azure AD Premium P1 license is part of many SKUs, and here is the list of all SKUs, whereas Azure AD Premium P2 license is part of these SKUs. Alright, let me take you to the lab. In order to set up SSPR, you will need to log into Azure AD and then look for password reset. It currently shows none, meaning SSPR is not enabled for any end user. If you select all, it will get enabled for all the users. However, if you click selected, then you get the option to select a group for which you would like to enable SSPR. I already have a security group called approved_SSPR, which I'm going to use. If you have a need to create a new group, simply go to Teams and Groups and then select Active Teams and Groups, add a new group, select Security, type a meaningful name, enter the group description, though it's optional, and then hit Next once you're done. We are not going to assign any Azure AD roles to this group. Simply click Next. And now this group has been created. We can search for that group and then add the owners and members. Alright, similarly, you can add members. Once you have added the group here, click Save at the top and then click Authentication Methods. Currently, the number of methods to reset is set as 1, which means users will have to complete one of the authentication methods that are listed below, like email, mobile phone, etc. Please note, if the number of method is selected as 1, then you cannot have mobile app notification as the only method. You have to select at least one more method from the list. If you set the number of methods to 2, then you will have to select at least 2 authentication methods. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going ahead with just 1, and then you can choose the authentication methods that you think users will be able to complete in your organization. Let me choose mobile phone security questions. Next step is to define the number of questions required to register. This simply means how many questions user must answer to be able to register for SSPR, while the next option defines how many questions user must answer to be able to reset their password. You can then select the security questions by either creating a custom one or choose from the predefined list by clicking on predefined. Here is the list of predefined questions that you can choose from. Simply check or uncheck the questions that you need. Once you are done with all the required changes, simply click Save at the top and then click Registrations under Authentication Methods. Toggle on the switch where it says Require users to register when signing in. By doing this, you are enforcing users to register for SSPR the next time they will log in. Next option defines the period of time before registered users are prompted to reconfirm their existing authentication information. You can choose any value between 0 and 730 days. If I change this to 60 days, meaning every 60 days users will see a prompt to verify their information. This is really helpful because users may want to update their phone number given they have recently changed their number or if they have got a new mobile phone. Once you are done with all the required changes, click Save at the top. Next thing we have to configure is notifications. So you have two different types of notifications here. If you turn on the user notifications, this means end user will receive an email notification to their primary and alternate email address, notifying them that their own password has been changed via SSPR portal. And the next notification is about administrator. Therefore, if an admin resets their own password via SSPR, then all the global admins will receive an email about that particular event. Let me now talk about customization. Usually, if an end user faces issues while resetting their password via SSPR, they see a message to contact their administrator, but they don't see an email address to reach out to. If you would like users to see the contact information, you can then turn on this option and enter the email address of your help desk or administrators group who will be looking into the issue. The next option is about on-premises integration. As my Azure AD Connect server is in shutdown state, it shows an error message at the top. If you would like to use password writeback feature, then you must turn on this option which says enable password writeback for synchronized users. However, if you are using Azure AD Connect Cloud Sync, then you will have to check mark on this setting that says writeback passwords with Azure AD Connect Cloud Sync to enable password writeback. In case you are not aware about Azure AD Connect Cloud Sync, please leave a message in the comments and I will work on creating a separate video on this topic. About the last setting that says allows users to unlock accounts with resetting their password, this determines whether or not users should see an option to unlock their on-premises account without having to reset their password, given the fact they are aware about their existing password. Now coming to the administrator policy, I would like to share that by default, all the administrator accounts are enabled for SSPR, and this is the authentication method set for them. You cannot change this policy. However, you can disable the use of SSPR for admin accounts by running this command shown on your screen. Remember that this change can take up to 60 minutes to take effect. I am now logging in to office.com with one of the cloud users who is also a member of approved SSPR group that I showed you earlier. This user is now getting a prompt that organization needs more info. This is because I turned on the option require users to register when signing in. End user would just click next here. At this stage, user will need to download the Microsoft Authenticator app on their Apple or Android device. Once the app is installed, click the plus sign at the top, then choose work or school account, followed by clicking scan a QR code and then scan the code displayed on the screen. Now user will need to enter the 6-digit code displayed in their Authenticator app. Let me enter mine and then hit next. Click done. In order for user to add any more authentication methods, user will need to click view account, then choose security info, let me enter the code. User will need to click add sign-in method and choose the desired method. Let me proceed with phone number. Once the number is entered, click next. And then Microsoft will send a security code on the phone number that you just entered. This is how user can enter additional authentication methods. If a user wants to change their password, they can log into office.com, click on their name and then click view account. And then choose change password. Enter their old and the new password that they want to set. And then click submit at the end. Now we can see that user's password has been successfully changed. Alright, now similarly, in case a user wants to reset their password because they have forgotten it, they can simply click forgot my password and enter the CAPTCHA. Hit next. As I had set up 2 authentication methods for this user, I can choose either of them to proceed further with the reset. Let me choose the second one and then enter the code from the Authenticator app. Enter the new password. So this is how user will create a new password. Being an administrator, you want to make sure that password writeback feature is also set up correctly so that password of your users are written back to your on-premises directory. In order to set up password writeback, launch Azure AD Connect and hit Configure. Then click View or Export Current Configuration. Make a note of the account name under the synchronized directories, as we will need this later in the process. Now click Previous and then select Customize Synchronization options from the list. Enter the global admin password. Hit Next. On the optional features, ensure there is a check mark on password writeback. If there is not already, please put a check mark and then hit Next and configure it. The next step in setting up password writeback is to grant necessary permissions to the root of the domain. In the Active Directory Users and Computers, please ensure Advanced feature has a check mark on it. Then right-click on the root of domain, go to Properties, select Security, Advanced, Add. Click Select a Principal, enter the MSOL user account name, click OK. Now in the drop down where it says Applies to, select Descendant User Objects and then put a check mark on the permissions that are displayed on your screen, that is Reset Password, Write permissions on lockout time, and write permissions on password last set. You will need to thoroughly go through this list to find these permissions. After you have added all the given permissions, you need to right-click on the root of domain again and follow all the steps till where it says Applies to, and this time select this object and all the descendant objects. Under the permissions, look for Unexpired Password. Once found, put a check mark on it and then click OK down at the bottom and save the changes. The next task is to open the group policy management so we can change the minimum password age to 0. Simply right-click on the default domain policy, click Edit. Now expand Computer Configuration, Policies, Windows Settings, Security Settings, Account Policies, and then Password Policy. Ensure minimum password age is set to 0. If it's set to something else, change it to 0 and then click OK. This change is necessary for password resets to process correctly. After you are done changing this policy, open command prompt and run gpupdate/force so that the changes can be synchronized across your environment. Now that my Azure AD Connect server is running fine, it shows that the on-premises writeback client is up and running, which means any synchronized user should be able to reset password, and their password should be written back to the on-premise directory. I have this user Matt V syncing from my on-premises. I will now try to log in with this user and check the password writeback behavior. So I'm going to change the password. Let's see what happens now. Alright, let me click sign in, enter the password. Then click the username at the top right, view account, Change password. Enter the new password. Submit. Alright, so password has been changed. Once the password has been changed or reset, you can then verify the same by looking at an attribute called password last set on the user account in AD users and computers. This date here matches that of my machine, which confirms password has been successfully written back. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you do, please subscribe to my channel so it can reach more people. Thanks for all the support, and bye for now.